Okay, apparently I'm live. Boom. Music over here. Can you So I posted a link on my Twitter page.
Yeah.
Can you click it and see if everything is going right?
Yes.
Looks good. Okay, cool.
We don't miss it.
Huh?
We don't miss it.
Oh, you can sit wherever you want. Yeah. If more people come, I'll bring out like another chair or something. So this is my first one of these ever. It's like an idea I came up with while I was living in Ohio. Hey, what's up, P?
From Ohio.
hmm I'm from Akron, but I lived in Columbus for a few years. Yeah, and I started doing sex work in 2020, and I was doing this full time and traveling all the time and stuff like that. So, needless to say, it was a lot.
Yeah.
It was definitely like a lot of money went into it.
Yeah.
Having to fly and travel all the time because I'm not shooting in Columbus. Obviously, ain't really nobody there. Always having to travel to like major big cities and stuff like that. And when I first started doing this, like I was like, this was a full time thing for me, like off the rip. Like I was traveling multiple times a week to multiple different states. And I think the most collabs I ever did in a full month is like 40.
Wow.
Yeah. And I just got so used to doing that and that being
Yeah.
normal to the point to where like sometimes, you could say I didn't really have too much of like an actual social life.
Yeah.
And I'm having fun. I'm creating content that I love. And I've also told myself that this is my career now. And eventually, that's cool. But as you're going on and doing it for like a while, it starts to, feel burned out and stuff like that. So it didn't really hit me really, really hard until like, I think was it 2021? Yeah, I think it was like the summer of 2021 is where like it started hitting me psychologically, it started hitting me emotionally and like physically and stuff like that. To
Yeah.
the point to where it's like I can't really perform. I'm not really thinking of like cool creative concepts anymore. I'm just kind of like losing the love for it. And of course, at the time, I don't really know why I'm feeling this way. I don't know anything about what feeling burned out or any of that stuff is till other people started telling me things. And at first, I was like in denial or just kind of like, nah, there's got to be something. I'm sick. There's something wrong with me. I'm sick. So I like go to the doctors and stuff, and I'm fine. They just pretty much tell me the same thing. They're like, nah, you just burnt out. You've been doing
Need a
it
break.
for too long. Yeah, that's our diagnosis. Here's the bill. But after experiencing that and then actually um, taking the time to learn more about it and then do what I got to do to shake it off, which was for me the first time was I took off 2 months from like shooting content. I wasn't traveling. I wasn't around people. I just kind of like kept to myself and hung out with like my civilian friends in my city and stuff. Went back to being, government named me for a while. I was like, I don't want to be Finney for a bit. I'm like, it's too much. It's too much. I don't got no content to edit, thankfully. I used to, I had started, and I still do this, editing content for other people. I didn't do that either. Like, I wanted no whiff of sex work for a while. And it worked. Of course, coming back from a long break, you get nervous,
Yeah.
and it's like, oh man, I feel like I'm restarting this
Yeah.
again. And it's wild. I think my first scene when I came back was like low key like one of the best scenes I ever shot. My confidence was back in order, and I was ready to go again. But unfortunately for me, all I did was repeat the cycle of working like a maniac,
Yeah.
and then getting burned out again, and then
When you
having
burn
to
out, do you feel like your confidence goes too?
goes to shit. Like, I don't feel attractive.
Yeah.
I start comparing myself to
Yeah.
other people. I start looking at other people's work and be like, "Mine ain't good enough."
Yeah.
I hate that. But like, after you experience it so many times and you're in that,
Yeah.
mouse wheel and stuff like that, it's like, all right, I gotta get out of this. I gotta think of something that's gonna be like, I'm not gonna say everlasting, but like, I have to have a better balance so this
Yeah.
just won't
So it's
happen.
steady.
Yeah,
Yeah. You don't
Like,
want like the highs and the lows.
exactly. So for me, like, I just, especially like once I decided I wanted to move here to a bigger city, I thought that would help a lot. Because I'm like, okay, well, now I don't have to travel all the time. I'm saving more money. I can shoot at a more relaxed pace because I live here now. There's so many people here. There's so many people coming through. And I changed my like posting schedule to where, because I used to be a maniac. Like, I used to post like new scenes like every day
Yeah.
almost. So I was like, okay, let's get real. I turned it into just every 3 days or so, which means that I can shoot probably like 10 to 12 scenes a month at a more like every other day, every 2 day pace or something like that. And I started getting more heavy into my original love, which was like, safe for work content creating, like the YouTubes and stuff
Yeah.
like that, which also made stuff a lot more fun for me. So I was like, okay, I didn't necessarily cure burnout because I don't think you
I
can,
don't
but
think, yeah.
I just made things a little bit easier for me. And like, I'm a lot more knowledgeable about the subject. What about you?
Oh man, I feel like I'm in like a constant state
Yeah.
of burnout. Yeah, it's hard. I'm pretty new. I started this like back in August.
Mhm.
And like when I first started, I feel like it was like really well. I was like just by myself, like solo. Like I do have a partner, but most of my stuff was like just by myself. And like
Okay.
I was doing really well for like starting, and then like around like December, like life kind of kicked up a little bit, so I had to like kind of put it on the back burner.
Okay.
And I just feel like I'm like here now. Like I kind of feel like starting over.
That's what it felt like.
Yeah,
So is that where you are currently, or is that where you're like
I feel like I'm like getting there.
you're getting there? Okay, so there's good progress.
Getting there.
So what were some of the steps that you took to like, get your groove back? And stuff?
I think a lot of it is like the social anxiety of like people aren't gonna like me.
Yeah.
So I feel like, and I really like I don't know anyone else in like the industry. Like it was just me like by myself. So it was like lonely. But now that I'm kind of starting to like meet people, like I feel like my confidence is kind of, you gotta like force yourself out there.
Yeah. you
It's
do.
hard. It's hard.
And you're based here currently too?
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah,
it's a little bit easier for us. Maybe like you said, we still got to force ourselves to
Yeah.
do something social sometimes
Yeah.
because it's not difficult for us to talk ourselves out of a lot of things, but sometimes we need it. And this is like the perfect community, low key,
Yeah.
for us to do that and
Yeah.
like be able to go to those places. I went to a birthday party yesterday for Crystal Davis. Shouts out to her, her 50th birthday celebration, and it was so many of my mutuals there. And I get there. I think we got there like a little bit after 10. So I'm telling myself like, all right, I'm coming here at a good hour. I'll be able to hang out for a while. It's going an hour in. I'm like, I want to go home, watch TV, lay in
Right.
bed. Don't I got something to
Be in
do
bed.
tomorrow? But I wouldn't let myself. I was like, no, I'm gonna stick around for a while. I'm gonna be social. I'm not
Yeah.
gonna just be off
You have
doing my
to.
own thing.
Yeah.
I'm not pulling out the phone. And I did that. And like looking back on it the next day, I'm like, I'm proud of myself. I left like
Yeah.
around 1. That's fair because again, had to do this, but I was happy. I was social. I was kicking it. I
Yeah.
was having a
It
good
feels
time.
good.
Yeah, but we get that luxury here being in Vegas,
Yeah.
of being able to just, you know, be a part of our community and do a bunch of social stuff. But that's also what I want this to be, stuff like events like this, um, the kicking events, the content events that I do. I want it to kind of like bring people together who are
Mhm.
around here, who are mutuals, who can become mutuals, visiting people who just happen to come through. Like I did a housewarming party a couple weeks ago, and a lot of the people that came, all from Vegas, but didn't know each other. I was
Yeah.
like, oh,
I
that's
don't know
perfect,
anyone. Yeah.
because now y'all get the network and like. I know for a fact my homegirl Jasmine, Jasmine Rose, shouts out to her, and Buttercream, Briella Bardo was here, and they didn't know each other. And then by the end of the night, everybody's kicking it, having a good time. The next day,
Right.
I'm on Twitch and Kick, and they doing a stream together. I was
Right.
like, yes, that is what I want. I want people to come together and like
Yeah.
be able to like not just do business and stuff like that, but like cultivate,
Make friends.
make friends and cultivate
Yeah.
like healthy, positive relationships
Yeah.
and impacts on people's lives and stuff like that.
And then there's no burnout.
And then there's no burnout when you have that
Because if you have
balance.
it's I think it's mostly about because also I feel like a lot of times like when I'm experiencing like my lows or like burnout feeling and stuff, it's like when I'm alone, like when I am isolating myself and like not putting myself out there,
Yeah.
like I'm just digging myself deeper and deeper.
That's the flip side of burnout. So before I go into the flip side, let me I pulled this up. I was like, let me actually read what Google says burnout is. Okay. So burnout, this condition is a syndrome, not a medical diagnosis, caused by chronic workplace stress that has not been successfully managed. In this context, external factors such as those from workplace dysfunction are primarily to blame for burnout. Burnout can affect your mental, physical, and emotional state. Like we said, the feelings of burnout typically occur when you're overwhelmed at work and feel as if you can no longer keep up with the rigors of the job. Now, here's the difference between stress and burnout. So it says don't confuse burnout with stress, though. Stress is having too much on your plate, too much to work with, too much to handle, too much responsibilities, too many hours spent working. Burnout is the opposite. You typically feel like you don't have enough, not enough motivation, not enough energy, not enough care. The same thing can be said for misinterpreting depression for burnout. Certain depression related symptoms, such as exhaustion and difficulty performing tasks, can masquerade as burnout. In most cases, burnout is work related and doesn't affect your day to day life. Depression, on the other hand, impacts every aspect of your life with persistent feelings of hopelessness, worthlessness, or helplessness. You may be at a higher risk of burnout if you have low self esteem, unrealistic expectations in your career choice, and you aren't comfortable coping with stressors. You may also experience burnout at a higher rate if your job requires a heavy workload or just crazy ass hours like overworking and stuff,
Yeah.
and if it's understaffed, if things don't go as planned a lot of times, you have conflicts in the workplace and doesn't reward work when a job is well done, done, yeah, a job is done well, there we go. So there's another thing about the 5 stages of burnout, but before we get into that, let's talk about what you just brought up, which was the flip side of burnout, to where it's like, okay, so you try to do what I said that I do and take that long ass break. And yeah, that's cool for you, mainly for the physical, um, but the emotional and the mental, there's a lot that goes into that because it's like, all right, when you're gone for a certain amount of time, again, it feels like you're not returning. It feels like you're starting over.
It does.
And it's like, damn, I got those, new booty jitters.
Mhm.
Like, fuck, am I gonna be good? Did I get left behind while I was gone?
Yeah.
What was a month can feel like a year to some
Like everyone
people.
forgets about
Yeah,
it.
like, oh, what is my brand fucked? How's my bag
Yeah.
gonna go? Like, that's a lot of stuff that goes into like the psychological. But again, you gotta for one, you gotta have faith in your brand, you gotta have faith in yourself, and just know that stuff like that is gonna work out. Because you can't be at your best if you're like, if you're burned out. You just can't. So I'm like, all right, no worries. I mean, if you're taking off like a year or something like that, hey, and you ain't do nothing in that year, I mean, well, at least your burnout's fixed. Your brand, you
Should be
got some,
peaceful, yeah.
yeah, your brand, I don't know. But there's always like a middle ground. You don't have to go all out like I did, to where I just didn't do shit. Sometimes you can dial back a lot of the more rigorous physical stuff, but you can still like maybe somebody like runs your OnlyFans for you or something like that. But during like your downtime and stuff, it's like, well, let me hop on there a little bit and get on that side of things where I'm not like where I'm just kind of like on my phone or behind the desk. I'm not in the field. Cool. And if it gets overwhelming, then pass it back to the dude, whoever's running it. You gotta have faith. Hell yeah. Let me know, Paisley. Shouts out to Paisley Hayes. She's the reason why I'm on YouTube a lot more often. But let's go into what are the 5 burnout stages. This is interesting. Okay. Uh, so first, burnout isn't a sudden onset of feelings. Instead, your thoughts, feelings, and actions progress through a series of stages. The initial stages may not feel like much, but they can eventually lead to a habitual phase and makes it hard to carry out your occupational duties. So the first one is the honeymoon phase. It sounds delightful. That's why I read that. I was like, why would you name it that? That sounds awesome. But honeymoon phase, like a honeymoon phase in marriage, this stage comes with energy and optimism. Whether it's starting a new job or tackling a new task, it's common to experience satisfaction that leads to periods of productivity and ability to tap into your creative side. So when you're feeling yourself, when you come up with an idea, you feel like it's the best idea, the best thing smoking, you can't wait to knock that shit out. Like, let's fucking go. This is huge. This is huge for me. This is huge for the industry. Let's go. So the second thing is onset of stress phase. Eventually, the honeymoon phase dwindles and you start to experience stress, doubt, stuff like that. Not every second of your day is stressful, but there are more frequent times when stress takes over. As the stage begins, take notice of any physical and mental signs. You may start to lose focus a little bit more easily and be less productive when completing tasks, kind of like start kind of half-assing some stuff.
Yeah.
Physically, fatigue can start to set in, making it more difficult to sleep or enjoy activities outside of work. How's your sleeping patterns these days? And okay, that kind of comes with the territory of what we do. I will be honest.
Yeah.
Nothing to brag about. It's something that we have to kind of like take notice of and work on for sure. Because after a while, stuff like that definitely contributes to feeling burned out a lot
Yeah.
faster when your sleeping patterns go to shit.
Yeah.
That's a very serious thing to grab a hold of. But do your best.
Yeah.
That's all you can really do in that situation. It's hard for adults to get the full 9 hours.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
I
but
don't know if I ever.
yeah, I don't remember the last time. I consider that sleeping in. You cherish those moments,
Right,
but it's
yeah.
not a normal thing that we get to do a lot of times. But it is very important to develop some kind of healthy sleeping routine to be able to continue doing this full time without burnout really kicking your ass a lot more often. Number 3, chronic. Okay, this is where we start getting into the depressing stuff. Chronic stress phase. You'll reach a point where the stress becomes more persistent or chronic. As pressure mounts, the stress is likely to consistently affect your work. Examples include feelings of apathy, not completing work on time, being late for work, or procrastinating during, let's say, shoots. Want to come in just kind of like bullshit. We supposed to be working, but we shooting shit. We kind of like taking forever to shoot. Damn, we've been here for 4 hours, and all we shot was a couple TikToks. You want to just cancel and do this another time? I mean, we're both local, you know.
Gosh, I do that all the time.
And-
Not with like
Mhm.
other people, but like the one, like my partner that like I film with all the time. I'm always like, let's just do it tomorrow, or
So,
and then it never gets done.
so yeah, before I continue that one, from your perspective, because I have to imagine it's a lot more easier to get too comfortable and like get lazy working with like an actual partner, like
Yeah.
working out of the crib and stuff
Yeah.
like that. Can you talk about that experience for the people who probably can relate?
I feel like sometimes it's just like too easy to put it off because like we do live together, so like
Mhm.
like I've had like the same scene planned for like 3 weeks now, and it's like every weekend we're like, okay, let's do it. Like we'll even get like set up and get ready and everything like that,
Yeah.
and then like just something's not right. Like whether it be confidence or like the mood or something, I'm just like, let's just put it off. Or we get too comfortable talking and
Mhm.
you know messing around or
Okay, so what's some things that you end up doing to make it happen? Like to get yourself to like, oh, okay, we gotta get this done.
usually what I do is I'll post like, oh, I'll post this tomorrow because then I have to do it
Force
and then I
yourself
have to
to.
edit it. Yeah, because if it's
Yeah.
expected, like if I know someone's expecting it, then
Yeah.
I give myself a deadline. Like, and that's the hardest thing with a partner is like you don't really have a deadline because
True.
like when I'm like if I was to like do a shoot with like a person like not a partner, just like another person in the industry, like
Uh-huh.
you know, there's a time, there's a place, like there's like a scheduled window, but
Yeah,
we live
exactly.
together. I can do it whenever I want. So
Exactly. That's what makes it a lot
yeah,
more difficult because it's
yeah,
like, okay, this feels easier,
right.
but it's a lot harder to get that
It
motivation
really
that you would have
is.
working
Yeah,
with someone that has the all of that stuff pretty much down. So that's awesome. I definitely commend you. A lot of people, you know, don't realize that it's a lot harder for
and I don't
people.
even do like a lot of partner stuff. Like I can't
Mhm.
even imagine the people who like only shoot with like one person, and like
Yeah.
especially if they live with them. I can
And
never.
then like this, that's the other thing that
It's
you
just
got
too
to deal
easy
with.
not to work.
Yeah, it's too easy not to work. But then
Yeah,
you got to think about like, so I'm not a solo act. I always work with other people.
yeah,
But I have to imagine and have heard from other people that it is so hard to find the motivation
yeah,
to do solo content, especially like maybe camming is a little bit easier because
yeah.
you have
You're not
people
alone.
watching, you're not
Yeah,
alone.
no, it's
But like just
hard when
creating
it's just
solo
you.
content and
Yeah,
getting into a headspace where it's like, okay, what am I going to get turned on by to make this
exactly. Because
work
then you
out?
don't have anyone like you know talking in your ear and like telling you like you're doing a good job or anything. So you're just kind of doing it for yourself. Like
Yeah.
yeah,
I think in the future, I definitely have to do a subject about the pressures of being a solo
yeah.
talent. And I'm going to be sitting right there where you are. Like, I have nothing to say, but I want to hear what everybody else got to talk about.
Yeah.
All right, so let me finish chronic stress phase. So with this also, socially, you may withdraw from normal work-related conversations, not really want to be around your peers or anything like that, or like we said before, start comparing yourself to others in a negative way, to where it's like I'm not good enough, and also now I don't like you. But in other cases, you may become angry and lash out at coworkers, like I just said. Sometimes these feelings follow you home and can affect relationships with your family, your friends, and like other civilians and stuff like that. Or in our case, fans.
Yeah,
Sometimes a
that's the
fan might
biggest.
come very innocent and just ask for something, but we're feeling so fucked up that we just start taking offense to everything. I can admit a lot of times on OnlyFans where I was kind of a little too, I was too rude and something like that, or I was just I'm not gonna say too laxed. Let's just go out and just say rude. Like I had somebody hit me up, and they were just like, "Oh, can I get this video? Oh, can I get this video? Oh, can I get this video?" And then I send them the video. I send them the video. I don't really have conversations because again, I'm not really in the headspace where I
Right.
want to. I send them the videos, and maybe they don't unlock it or anything like that. They keep asking. I start getting easily ticked off. Where it's like, stop asking for shit if you're not gonna open it. And it's like, come on, that's not professional. It's not how you talk to fans. Because what happens if like one day he just unlocks all of it. And it's a day where you really needed, a certain quota to hit. But you sent it weeks ago, but he just now unlocked it and he was able to fill that quota today. Don't fuck that up because you feeling bad. Now you got to dish
Yeah.
out apologies and things like that. It's hard, but fulfilling. What to say? It's hard, but fulfilling to hold yourself accountable as a solo creator. It's hard, but fulfilling. Oh, okay. I get it. Sorry, I read that wrong. Because there's literally nobody else holding you accountable. You want to push through, and it's definitely rewarding. That's understandable. I gotta get you out here, P, for that subject about the pressures of being a solo creator. So, number 4, straight up, the burnout phase. This phase is when you reach your limit and you can no longer function as you normally would. Problems at work begin to consume you to the point where you obsess over them, or what we call overthinking. Start getting too deep into your head. And as a male talent, yo, when you start getting in your head, it's a wrap. I'm gonna be honest. Don't even show up to set. Don't do that. Don't waste people's money. Don't waste people's time. Let them know, listen, this is a terrible day. You ain't gotta go into detail, but most people can get the hit. Like, listen, I'm not trying to pull up and I have to get fluffed for half an hour because I'm over here telling myself that I'm not dread. Oh God, why can't I be dread? Like, get him out of here. Get him out of here. But all right, so let's see. At times, you may also feel numb and experience extreme self-doubt. Physical symptoms will become intense, leading to chronic headaches, stomach issues, gastrointestinal problems. Families and friends may also start to notice obvious behavioral changes and things like that. So, for in my experience with this, when I was deep into burnout in 2021, yeah, I was emotional. I didn't really want to be around people. I was deep into my own head. Depression was definitely beating me up, and I was like, I was overeating. Um, I was eating a lot during the day and stuff like that, and it was not food that I probably should be eating. Um, I was drinking a lot. Like a lot went into it, and for me personally, I wasn't like lashing out at people. I just didn't want to be around anyone.
Yeah.
I could be in that. I think I went
Just
to a
like the
content house
isolation. Yeah.
and I would just be dipped off in my room. For one, those scenes were mid as hell that I shot. I can admit that because again, I wasn't really in the headspace,
Yeah.
but I felt obligated to go. But yeah, I just secluded myself
Yeah.
and stuff, and it was hard to get back in there and start feeling like a part of the group and a part of the industry and stuff
Yeah.
again. And it's still very early in my career as well, so I didn't really have the networks and a lot of the strong relationships that I currently have.
Yeah.
I had a very small amount of people that really noticed and cared enough to actually try to help and stuff. So very grateful. Shouts out to them, those people. I don't think I knew P yet. Sorry, Paisley. I don't think I knew you yet. We met in the beginning of 2022. But what about you? When you're like, when you're at like peak burnout,
Yeah.
what are you going through?
I feel like for me, it's mostly confidence. Like I feel like burnout and confidence like really goes hand in hand because then they just kind of like I just like beat myself up and like it just gets worse and worse. Like because especially taking breaks because like I said I was doing pretty good and like then like I did take a little break and I just watched like my sub count and like all my fans just like tank, you know. So now I'm like, and then trying to build it back up like it's hard because like I feel like 1 week my confidence is good, I'm doing really good, but then if it's not going the way I thought it would, or if I'm not getting like the attention I thought I would, then all of a sudden I'm right back down where I was. So I don't know, I'm just kind of up and down right now.
Did you find yourself like the way like your interactions with your peers, maybe your partner kind of changed when you're going through that?
Yeah, and most of it is like because like the stuff that I do with my partner, sometimes I get worried like I'm not really sure even how to word it. Like it's hard with the partner too because sometimes I get so nervous about like pleasing him and making sure like he's okay with what we're doing, and I know he's okay with what we're doing, but it's hard like getting out of the headspace of like, gosh, I don't know how to word it. Like being too comfortable. Like I'm almost so comfortable with him that I'm uncomfortable doing things that I do with someone new in the industry.
Yeah.
Like, so I don't know, working with a partner, like the burnout is just kind of constant.
Yeah. I can imagine working with the same person
Yeah.
a lot. It can be a little bit easier to get feel burned out, especially creatively.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he doesn't, most of it's like all the ideas, everything like comes from me too. So like, I feel like there's a lot of pressure.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of pressure to like, not only make sure I'm making like quality content, but that I'm, I don't know, making him happy, making the people watching happy.
Yeah.
And I don't have any feedback. So like, it's hard to know, like, am I doing this right?
Yeah.
That's the hardest part.
Yeah. But you get through it. You still here. So that's pretty freaking awesome. So I'll talk about the last one and then we'll have a discussion about potential resolutions. Let's say potential because we ain't therapists. So the fifth one is habitual burnout phase, which is the one that
Yeah.
we talked about again, where it's like you may treat it with a band-aid
Yeah.
on it, then get back into
It's
the
like a
groove,
cycle.
but then
It never
you
really
don't
goes
have it.
away.
Yeah. So if left untreated, burnout can become a part of your everyday life and eventually lead to anxiety or depression. You can also begin to experience chronic mental and physical fatigue that prevents you from working. Your job status may be put in jeopardy if you continue on this path. So let's talk symptoms. Burnout symptoms vary depending on what phase of burnout you're in. In general, there are three symptoms to be aware of: exhaustion, depersonalization, and reduced personal accomplishment. Exhaustion, this fatigue presents itself. I'm not about to explain what those are. You know what all of those are, but I'll at least explain um, depersonalization. This is a feeling of indifference. In other words, you start to feel numb. For example, you may become more cynical in your, inner workings or lack of ability to communicate effectively with other people. Um, so, physical symptoms include feeling tired, having difficulty sleeping, experiencing a change of appetite. Yep, yep. Dealing with headaches or muscle pain. Emotional symptoms include lacking motivation, experiencing feelings of self doubt, failure or loneliness, an overall feeling of dissatisfaction. Behavioral symptoms include social isolation, not performing your responsibilities, and work related anger outbursts. So, before we talk about, you know, uh, things to do to kind of like shake it off in a more healthy way. Let's see what I think it's called integriscope.com. Shouts out to them. You got to credit people. I didn't come up with this, other people did. So they said this is how you recover from burnout. At this point, burnout probably sounds stressful enough to wonder if you ever can recover from it. The good news is there are ways to bounce back and learn to enjoy your work again. For starters, you need to be honest with yourself and recognize the burnout. It will be more difficult to move forward if you can't see the problem and just like P said, take accountability for what's going on and what you're going through. Talk to your boss, or in our case, talk to your mutuals and let them know what your current struggles are. People that can probably relate
Yeah.
and give you good feedback and stuff like that. They may suggest you take some time off to recharge. If this isn't offered, request a few days off. Just take a step back, reassess your situation. Consider taking a vacation to truly unwind. So it's cool to do the mix of the two, where it's like, yeah, take a full vacation, but then come back and like just kind of like reassess your position and a lot of the things that are plaguing you. Like just kind of like, okay, so what's bothering me? Now I'm taking myself out of the field and I can just sit back and look at the videotapes and stuff like that. What's what's getting me down? What put me in this position that I can not do in the future? Um, before here it is. Um, Before you return, find new ways to cope with your job and find a work-life balance. Pretty much what we're saying. Look at us knowing what we're talking about. It's important to
Educated.
prioritize self care and schedule time for yourself a lot more consistently while you're doing this. This can be as simple as taking breaks throughout the day or going on a walk during lunchtime. In stressful moments, it may also help to practice breathing techniques to lower your stress. While at work, know your limitations. People in new jobs tend to say yes to everything as they feel it's necessary to showcase their value to their boss. So, in our terms, a lot of us accept pretty much every offer that comes along. Yeah, I'm about to shoot hella content. I'm just gonna keep pumping it out, and pumping it out, and pumping it out. Even if sometimes you physically don't want to do it, or straight up, maybe you don't want to work with certain people and stuff like that, but you
Right.
agree to it anyways because you feel like, oh, I gotta have this content, I gotta do this, I gotta do that. And then next thing you know, you're starting to lose interest in what you're doing. To solve this problem, oh, wait, here it goes. This can be dangerous. Sooner or later, you may find yourself drowning in too many tasks. To solve this problem, do not be afraid to say no. That's a problem that we have in this industry. We're afraid to say no, especially women, and that's justified
Yeah.
because they're afraid of what people will do with the rejection. Um, but hopefully, at some point, we can get more confident in just letting people know in a very not fucked up way, I guess is a better way of saying it, of rejecting, because that just kind of comes with the territory. Everyone's not going to tell you yes. Some people are gonna straight up tell you no. Some people will respectfully let you know, like, hey, like say for instance, I have to tell someone no, and I have to be direct about it. Because a lot of times, if you're not direct about it, they will either circle back later, thinking that you changed your mind. If you try to put it off, or if you try to blame it on something beyond them, then yeah, they're definitely going to take offense at that point. Where it's like, oh, yeah, you don't have a big enough following. The cross-platform thing's not going to work out. So what happens when they inevitably build up their following? Was that the reason why you
Right.
really didn't want to work with
Exactly,
them?
because then they come back. And
Yeah.
What are you gonna say?
Well, you could have just said something straight up like, I don't feel like what you have going on and what I have going on is going to mesh well business-wise for me. Because at the end of the day, this is still a business for me.
Right.
I have to be able to look at this and be like, okay, this is going to either generate money or cross promotion, grow my brand. And a lot of times, if it feels one sided, then I'm not going to do that. Or straight up, we have to, you know, have sex with people. So a lot of times, you're not like attracted to the other person. And you can just say something like, oh, well, no, thank you. I don't think it's going to work out. But, if I can support you, I will. And hopefully you do the same thing and leave it at that. Now they start asking a bunch of questions and hey, you got to do what you got to do. You got to say what you got to say. But hopefully most people will just leave it at that. Let's see. So knowing your limitation also includes setting a work schedule. In today's work from home environment, it's easy to be flexible and work longer hours or respond to emails or texts after working hours. While answering a call at night may seem harmless, it can lead to bad habits. So it's pretty much just saying, even though we like to say that our job is a 24/7 thing,
Right.
we don't
It
clock
shouldn't
out.
be.
You got to find some time to clock out. At
Yeah.
a certain point, it's like, okay, I'm not doing no more work.
Yeah.
Like I can schedule post some things, but after this hour, I'm done. Like for me, eventually I had to tell myself like I'm not shooting after a certain hour. Like
Right.
like I'm not gonna schedule it after a certain
Right.
hour. If something becomes late and it starts to get delayed, I will let them know like, okay, as long as we can do it before at the latest like 9, cool. But when it hits 10, nah, my day's over. I've clocked out. No
Yeah.
Fendi stuff. I'm cool. Uh, and that's just for your own, again, that balance that we
It's
need.
important. You're still a person.
At the
You're
end
not
of
just
the
a
day, yeah.
robot.
What about you? Do you have that? Do you have that like clock out time, or it's like, okay, I'm not doing no work, or would you like to implement that in the future?
Yeah, I don't. For me, it's kind of hard. I don't. I feel like I'm such like a. Honestly, I'm like a huge night owl. Like most of the time that I sleep is like I usually go to bed around like 4 or 5.
AM,
Yeah.
I do like
So
that.
like for me, it's hard because like I do like to shoot at night, but like I know a lot of people don't, and I totally respect that. But
Yeah.
like for me, it is hard because sometimes like the times that are easier for other people aren't easy for me because I do have like stuff to do during the day a lot of the times.
Yeah,
But then it's like another aspect of like maybe I'm not online enough
yeah.
because that's hard too.
It starts getting tricky when you start telling yourself that.
Yeah.
But do you feel as if like just kind of like trying to manage how things are for you if you're a night owl, maybe you can mostly do your work in the evening and leave the morning to rest clearly. And then like when you get up and stuff like that, to just have that time for your personal self, and then you use the nighttime.
Yeah. It's hard. Yeah. I'm a mom. So the days are hard, but
Mhm.
I think that's why I like being a night owl because it's really like the only time I get to myself.
True.
But then it's hard because then I'm taking a couple hours a night for myself, but then I'm missing the sleep. So then
Yeah.
the burnout's still there.
And then for us as creatives, I probably can't speak for everybody, but I can definitely speak for a lot of people. A lot of our creativity don't hit till nighttime.
No,
We're
yeah,
coming up with bomb
definitely.
ass ideas of things we want to execute
Yeah.
in those
Yeah.
very late ass hours. I'm up at like
Yeah.
midnight thinking of some crazy,
Yeah.
the most creative stuff that I am not capable of thinking of at 8
Yeah.
a.m.
And it's hard because that's when my motivation is like at its peak too. But then I'm like, it's 1 in the morning.
How am I
By
gonna-
the time I'm done getting ready and setting up and everything, it's gonna be like too late. I'm gonna be tired.
Yeah, so what a world we live in. So the last thing here is you're struggling from burnout and are unsure of where to turn. As you know, if you can't talk to your mutuals, if you don't have that luxury, or if you're a civilian, you can't talk to your coworkers or someone that you sure can relate, then just say fuck it and go talk to a physician. If you can't, if
Or
it's too much
anybody.
for you, like
Yeah.
have somebody that you can confide in. But if you have the access to a professional, go for it. Yeah, and they can help you, come up with strategies and things like that.
Yeah, I think it's so easy to like tell yourself you're alone
Yeah,
and like feel so alone and isolate yourself, but like truly you're not.
you're not.
You're not. You think you are, but you're not.
All right, so this is the kind of difficult part where we got to kind of get our minds working because now, from our perspectives, and this can also be us kind of like thinking for ourselves in the future of ways to remedy burnout, like from different levels, like ways to remedy serious burnout, ways
Yeah.
to remedy like I just don't have the motivation
Yeah.
right now, and like also like giving some reassurance when it comes to like certain things aren't symptoms of burnout. Actually, certain things are actually good and okay. So like a lot of times you're not psyched out. You don't lack motivation sometimes you dead ass just need a break, and you're telling yourself that. So don't feel bad if needing to take a break.
Yeah.
But like she said, we gotta like find that balance. Like take a vacation, take a break, but come back. Don't be gone for too long to the point where you lose your identity almost.
Yeah.
Like you gotta like find that balance and stuff, which means that like during that break, you have to be working on the burn. You have to actually be working
Yeah.
on the burnout, not just
Yeah, don't just isolate yourself and
Yeah.
dig your hole deeper.
I'm just not working from it.
Right.
Like, well, what are you doing about the actual burnout? You think that's just gonna go away because you didn't fuck around for a month? No, you gotta actively work on it, and then when it's time to come back, come back. But some things you can do during that break. Definitely go in on hobbies, like some
Yeah.
things that you personally want to do, but maybe you told yourself that you couldn't do because of timing and you being busy. This is a nice time to get into it. Find yourself again.
Yeah, don't stay home.
Don't stay home. Get
Don't be
out.
alone.
Go be social.
Make
Enjoy
some
yourself.
friends.
Go make some friends. Like,
Yeah.
if you have sex work mutuals, like who you like, maybe like just chop it with here and there and
Yeah.
stuff like that. Yeah, then go hang out with them.
Yeah.
Or not working, and just like
Right.
you can have those conversations.
Yeah.
You can like, just kick it and go have fun. That's healthy. That's good for you. Having that good social life balance in this makes it so much
Yeah.
easier. For real, at least in my opinion. And living in Vegas definitely showed me that it's a lot easier because stuff is happening all the time.
Yeah, there's a lot of people and there's a lot to do.
Yeah. So definitely trying to find that balance, knowing when to get back in there, actively working on the burnout during your break. One thing that I did that made me feel really, really good, for sure. I mean, you live with your people, but I don't. So like spending time with family really
Yeah.
helped me psychologically, reminds me of who I am around the people that I grew up with and stuff like that.
And
Because
if you don't have family, friends.
yeah, your friends, your close friends.
Yeah.
Like, because when you're doing this for so long, it's not difficult to get lost in your sex work identity to the point to where it's
Like,
like,
who am
wait, what's
I?
my real name again?
Yeah.
It's Finney, right? I'm introducing myself as Finney to everyone, but what's my actual government? Yeah, I had to go home and be reminded of who I am to my core and stuff like that so that I can come back with that restored confidence. Maybe not 100%, but it definitely kicked it up a few notches and helped to be around people that can remind you of who you are and what makes you great. Not people who just like, oh, I like you for boobs. And you got the fox ears. I love that. Love that about you. Like, where's the people that actually know me from me?
Right.
Let me go spend time with them for a bit. That definitely helps. So spending time with friends and spending time with family during that, and just not isolating yourself.
Yeah.
It's okay to have those again, certain stuff is okay. It's okay to have those periods of you just having time to yourself, just you. But just make sure you're, utilizing that time. Like the text said, breathing patterns. Over there, like just soaking in the sun. Go hit the beach, fuck it. Just take a walk around the street, get a bike,
Or even
enjoy
just open
yourself.
a window.
Yeah, watch something
Sometimes-
that brings you joy,
Yeah,
not a depressing
sometimes
movie.
I'm just having like the worst day and like I can't always go outside. But even just opening a window sometimes
And
helps.
just
Like
let
a
that
little
breeze
fresh
hit you.
air, a little sunshine.
It feels so good.
It does.
The
Brings
things you
back to,
cherish as
brings you
adults.
back in your body.
Have fun and a good social life. Yes. Hell yeah, P. So I feel like one of the things that we just keep hitting on is social life.
Yeah.
That makes a huge difference because that's like one of the very first things I said. When I got into this full time, I didn't have a social life anymore. This was a 100% thing, and I thought I was doing the right thing. I thought this was mandatory to be successful. I just got to go. But no, you have to have that balance and you have to develop some
Yeah.
form of a social life and that
Yeah.
balance to where like you can have your social life but not start half-assing your work, but not going too hard on your work to where you have virtually no real social life. Balance. You got to balance that out. And also make sure you are surrounding yourself with good people. Let's say good people.
Positivity.
I want to say positive, but
No.
sometimes shit happens. Everyone can't be positive all the time, but you don't want to
That's
surround
true.
yourself.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's true.
so let's say don't surround yourself with cynics
Yeah.
and negative
yeah,
people, draining
Yeah.
people.
Yeah.
You don't want to
That's what I mean.
you don't want to surround yourself with
You don't want
draining
hate.
people, no
Yeah.
matter what their potential is. Well, they have a good heart, shrouded by darkness, but they have a good heart. But but that's draining you.
Yeah.
Let them work on them, but you got to get the fuck out of there. So watch the circle that you keep because a lot of times that can make things worse. Surrounding yourself with negative people.
Yeah.
It's cool to just be like, hey, you got some stuff you got to work on. I hope that you actually work on it. And if there's ways that I can help without getting too deep into it with you, I will. But if some shit is beyond you, then you can't allow people to just drain your energy because then you end up
It'll just start affecting
watching
you.
this video.
Yeah.
It's like, help us, please. So that's a very important thing. So your peers, social life, breathing, soaking in the sun, drink water.
Yeah.
I got
I
hella
was just
water.
gonna say, make sure you're fed, taken
Yeah.
care of.
Yeah, a lot of times again, the diet can make things worse as well. That's when they were talking about a lot of the physical stuff that you start to go through, and then again, if you're having those physical changes during that period too,
Right.
oh, that definitely is going to shake the confidence.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So again, that can also tie into the thing I said about hobbies. Hit the kitchen. Let's cook some stuff that I've always wanted to cook,
Yeah.
but didn't have the time to do it. Let's fuck around and find out.
Do the things you want to do.
Exactly. Do the things that you want to do. But take care of yourself. It's gonna feel a lot better.
Yeah.
Anything else you can think of in terms of remedies for burnout?
I think it's just so important to know you're not alone.
You're not.
It's so easy to feel alone. It's
Mhm.
so easy. It's so easy for me sitting at home 1 a.m. all by myself. No one likes me. No one wants me. I have no friends. I'm so alone. But I know I'm not the only one who feels that way. So I'm not alone.
You're not.
No matter what, you're never alone.
Most people have been through this
Right.
as well. And I know psychologically you're telling yourself that nobody gets it.
Yeah.
I'm alone and stuff like that. But when you can shake that off and at
Yeah.
least try to reach out to someone
Right.
that you know cares, loves you, and will listen,
Yeah. Sometimes you just have to fake it till you make it. Just pretend. I know it's not for everyone, but sometimes you just gotta put on a happy face and just power
see where it
through
takes you.
Yeah.
See where that happy face takes
Sometimes
you.
it
And
helps.
hopefully if it helps. And if
Yeah.
it doesn't help, then you gotta try something else.
Look in the mirror and just force yourself a little smile for a minute.
Acknowledge how nice your smile is.
Right.
Oh, that's a nice smile.
Give yourself some compliments.
We'll go outside
you
and show this smile.
know? Exactly. Or even I feel a lot of times what helps me with burnout, especially because my burnout is so confidence based, is boosting other people's confidence. you know, going out, complimenting others, putting a smile on other people's face puts a smile on my face.
Wow.
And that helps a lot too.
That is awesome. That is awesome advice.
Yeah, I think it helps so much. Fake it till you make it. Like if you just pretend you're happy and like all of a sudden, wow, why am I happy now?
Yeah, because what you're saying right now is like real shit for real. Because it's like,
Yeah.
ask yourself this: when you boost up other people, like fuck egos. Like if you're just like really
Right.
just complimenting and acknowledging something great about another person, doesn't it make you feel good?
Especially the people that, you know, might not always get it.
Yeah.
Because I'm, you know, I mean, not saying like the people who get like compliments and everything all the time don't deserve it.
Yeah, I get
But
what
you
you're saying.
never know. Like everyone's struggling. Everyone has their own struggles. You don't know. People don't really talk about it a lot. It's like you're walking on the street and you see a stranger and you're like, oh, I really like your pink hair. That is so cute. I don't know what you're going through. And all of a sudden you're like,
Next thing you know, you have made that person's day. You don't even
Exactly.
realize it. Their day was shit. Like there's a lot of times where I ended up in a situation where I just casually reach out to someone unprovoked and just be like, yo, I hope you're having a great day today. Or acknowledge something that I saw was awesome that they
Yeah.
did. And then they'll say something back like, you don't know how much that meant to me.
it could save a life.
Like that can definitely save a person's
Yeah.
life. And at the same time for you, knowing that you made that positive impact on someone feels good
so,
to you.
And it's so easy too. Like just to give someone like 3 people a random compliment. Like I've had people, oh my gosh, I like your shoes. And I'm just like, really? Oh, thank you. Like the whole entire day, I'm like, wow, my shoes are really that cool.
That's a
Like
wonderful challenge to put on people. Anyone
Yeah.
watching this right now, try to give 2 to 3 compliments a day to someone. It can be a stranger, it can be your mama, it can be anybody. Go for it. Just like, put that positivity out there.
the more positive things you say, the more positive of a person you're gonna be.
Yeah, you're going to be and you're going to feel it genuinely.
Yeah.
It's an awesome feeling.
Yeah, it's so easy to sit there and just say you're not good enough, but just quiet that for a second and focus on
And then now you just built this foundation where, like, yeah, maybe you're kicking your own butt a little bit.
yeah.
But then you also built this foundation where it's like, oh wait, a lot of other people view me as this positive, good person.
Yeah,
I should
that's another
once
thing.
again view myself in that light. They view me that way for a reason because that's who I am. I need to remind myself that I'm that person, and the love that I give other people, let me give it to myself now.
Yes.
Let me look in the mirror and say all these awesome
The
things
little
about
self-affirmation.
myself. Yeah,
Like,
self-affirmations. Add that to the
I am
list.
Finny.
I am Finny.
Yeah.
Just like think of where you were to where you
Right.
are now. And it's like, damn, I've accomplished a lot. I've done a lot. Like, be proud of yourself. It's okay to be proud of yourself.
Right.
And once you get there, it's like, oh shoot, look at this. I'm feeling good. Let's get back to it. Let's get back to it. Like, let's remember these healthy steps that we took, and try to like keep the burnout low. So to the point to where it's like you never really gets to stage 4. It really just like stage 1 is fine. The honeymoon phase is like, you coming up with creative ideas, you're feeling yourself. But part of that, so it doesn't turn into, code red, stage 4 is knowing your limitations at the end of the day, where it's like, I want to do this, I want to do that, but I probably shouldn't do that because if I go all out and do this, I'm not going to want to do anything else for a while. And I probably shouldn't get myself to that level. Yes, it does. Hell yes. Self-affirmation works.
They really do.
Yeah. I like the positive point that we are right now. This is probably a good point to kind of like cut it. So we discussed, our personal experiences. We talked about, the depths of what burnout is and the heights of its negative experiences, but then also ended on a positive note, talking about resolutions and positive ways to shake it off. Stuff that I didn't even think about that you shared. So thank you for that. And hopefully I was able to do the same thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm hoping that I can do this twice a month. I want to do it every other Sunday with a various different subject. Hopefully more and more, we can get more people here. That would be cool. But I appreciate you being here. Well, this is going to be me talking
Thank
to.
you for letting me come.
Of course. So yeah, I think we'll end it there. Thank you for everyone for tuning in. I'm gonna leave this on my YouTube channel for everybody to watch later. Like, comment, subscribe, And can you share your socials? They can like maybe like your Twitter, IG.
I don't even know what it is. Oh my gosh,
Sheesh.
I just changed it.
It's okay. Just so people know where to like follow you. And stuff like that.
It's either X Anna Valentine X or just Anna Valentine X. I'm not sure which one.
It's very easy to remember.
one
Either
of
X
those.
at the beginning
Right.
or just
Or
an X
both.
at the end.
I don't remember if it gave me enough characters to do both.
I think we DM'd recently. So
Oh no, it's not. It's at yours truly Anna X.
yours truly, Anna X.
That's
Okay,
everyone.
so everything is spelled how it's supposed to be spelled.
Yes.
Anna has two N's
Yes.
and an X at the end.
Yes.
Yeah, so follow her on Twitter. Her Twitter's lit. So yeah, we're gonna wrap it up there. Thank you everybody for tuning in, supporting Fitness Playhouse. Thank you for Anna coming through. You are awesome. And yeah, see you next time. Let's say 2 Sundays from now. We'll do it again. Hopefully. Let me check the date before I agree to that, because I know I got to do XBiz. So the 14th won't be here. So let's try for the 21st. May 21st, we will return with a different subject. So again, thank you for tuning in. End. Oh, that was so